All right, let's dive into a question that I think has fascinated people for as long as, well, as long as we've been around.
Yeah.
Can we actually reverse aging?
Oh.
You know, you sent us a YouTube video from The Economist, some news articles, even a whole scientific briefing document on this.
It's a hot topic.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
So it seems like we're all still searching for that fountain of youth.
It seems like it, and the science is getting really interesting. Like
Yeah.
we're moving beyond just, hoping and wishing and into some actual concrete research and some breakthroughs.
Yeah, some actual possibilities.
Yeah.
Okay, so much to cover. So where do we even begin with this one?
Well, I think maybe a good place to start is with like a basic understanding of what aging even is, like biologically.
Right, yeah, it's more than just like wrinkles and gray hair, right?
Right.
I mean, what's actually happening in our body?
Yeah, and our sources kind of describe it as like an accumulation of damage on a cellular level. And so over time, like our DNA gets damaged, our cells become less efficient. And we start to see those visible signs of aging, the wrinkles, the gray hair.
Yeah.
But also we become more vulnerable to diseases.
So it's kind of like, I don't know, like a car that's been driven a lot, right?
Yeah.
Eventually parts start to wear out.
Exactly.
Wings break down.
Yeah, and there's this interesting theory called the disposable soma theory.
Okay.
That basically suggests that there's this kind of evolutionary trade-off.
Hmm.
Like early in life, our bodies prioritize reproduction, passing on those genes.
Right, keep the species going.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But then once we kind of hit that point, it seems like with the focus on repair and maintenance, it kind of decreases.
Oh, interesting.
Like as if our bodies are like, okay, mission accomplished.
Yeah, we did the thing.
Yeah, we made babies, we're good.
On to the next.
Yeah, so it's like we have this set amount of resources to allocate and
Makes sense. In a way, I mean, evolutionarily, like once you've reproduced, your job's done.
Exactly.
From a
species perspective.
Right. But what's so fascinating is that some species kind of seem to defy this.
Really?
Like the Aldabra giant tortoise. They live well over 100 years.
Wow.
And their risk of dying doesn't really increase as they get older.
So they're just like, they just don't age. What's their secret?
That's what scientists are trying to figure out.
Wow.
But it suggests that that aging might be more malleable than we thought, that there might be ways to slow down.
Oh, okay.
Or even reverse it.
Okay, I'm officially intrigued.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the ways that that scientists are trying to do this.
Okay.
One that I saw come up a lot in what you sent me is caloric restriction.
Yes.
Which just seems so counterintuitive to me.
Yeah.
That like eating less could help you live longer.
It does.
Our research on it's pretty compelling.
Yeah.
It actually goes back decades.
Okay.
There was a study back in the 1930s.
Oh, wow.
Where they put rats on a severely restricted diet, but like without malnourishing them.
Okay.
And they found that these rats lived a third longer than rats who ate normally.
A third longer. That's crazy. Yeah. But how does that even work? Does that tie into the whole disposable soma theory?
It might.
Okay.
The idea is that when resources are scarce, the body kind of shifts its energy away from reproduction towards cellular repair.
Interesting.
So it's like switching from growth mode to survival mode, prioritizing the things that are going to keep you alive.
So it's less about what you're eating and more about how your body's responding to not having enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Fascinating.
And that's one of the challenges with applying this to humans.
Right.
Finding that balance between, restricting calories for longevity benefits and still being able to, live a healthy and enjoyable life.
Yeah, nobody wants to live to 150 if they're miserable the whole time.
Exactly.
So that's calorie restriction. What about something a little more high tech?
Okay.
I saw some stuff about genetic manipulation.
Right.
And I know Cynthia Kenyon's work with roundworms was mentioned.
Yeah, her research was groundbreaking.
Okay.
She found that by modifying just one gene called DAF2, she could actually double the lifespan of these tiny little worms.
Wow, double.
And not only did they live longer, but they stayed youthful much longer.
Wow.
It wasn't just about adding years, it was about adding healthy years.
So it's like you can pinpoint the gene that's controlling aging and tweak it.
Yeah, in a simplified way, yes.
Yeah.
And what's really exciting is that humans, we have similar genes.
Oh, wow.
So this research opens up the possibility that we could maybe develop interventions that target those pathways and impact our own lifespans.
So we could potentially reprogram our genes to slow down aging. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, there are definitely some, ethical and safety concerns
Of course.
about manipulating our genes. It's not something to be taken lightly.
Right.
So that's why scientists are also exploring other options that are potentially safer.
Okay.
And one that really stands out is epigenetic reprogramming.
Okay, now we're getting into some serious sci-fi stuff. Epigenetics. That's a whole nother level, right?
It is.
Yeah.
But think about it like this. Our DNA is the hardware, but epigenetics is like the software.
Okay.
It determines how our genes are expressed,
Mm-hmm.
like whether they're turned on or off.
So instead of changing the genes themselves, we're changing how they're used.
Exactly. And what's incredible is that scientists have already been able to reverse the age of cells in mice by manipulating their epigenome.
Wow.
Like they made the cells younger.
So they actually turned back time on a cellular level. That's amazing.
It is.
Are there specific things that control this epigenetic software?
Yeah, there are.
Oh.
And one of the, really hot topics in this field is a set of proteins called Yamanaka factors.
Okay.
And they're involved in resetting cells to a more youthful state. And there's been a huge influx of investment in this area, including from some big names in tech.
So, okay, this is serious business.
Yes.
So we've got calorie restriction, gene manipulation, now epigenetic reprogramming.
Mm-hmm.
What other crazy anti-aging strategies are scientists looking into?
Well, there are a few that are definitely more controversial than others. And one that comes up in a lot of the sources you sent is parabiosis.
Parabiosis?
Yeah.
What is that?
It involves linking the circulatory systems of two animals.
Wait, like a blood transfusion?
It's more like a continuous blood exchange.
Okay.
So they surgically connect a young animal and an old animal.
Wow.
So their blood is kind of flowing together.
Oh, okay.
And what's wild is that the older animal often experiences an increase in lifespan and even shows signs of rejuvenation.
So young blood really is the fountain of youth.
It seems that way, doesn't it? It's
right out of a vampire movie.
Yeah, exactly.
But is there actual science behind that?
Yeah, there's research, but there's a lot of debate about what's actually causing these effects. Is it something specific in the young blood?
Right.
Or is it more about like diluting harmful factors in the old blood?
Okay.
So
that's interesting.
The jury's still out.
Yeah. And I imagine ethically, there's a lot to unpack there.
Exactly.
So we've talked about a lot of very high-tech anti-aging strategies, but is there anything, I don't know, more natural, more about lifestyle?
Yeah, it might surprise you.
Okay.
But there's a growing body of research on the link between the gut microbiome and aging.
Wait, you mean like the bacteria in our gut?
Yeah.
What does that have to do with aging?
A lot, apparently.
Okay.
So the trillions of bacteria in our gut,
Yeah.
they play a crucial role in our overall health. And that ecosystem changes as we age.
Okay, so what do we do? Just eat more yogurt?
Well, there's been research on fecal transplants from young to old animals.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that a poop transplant can help you live longer?
It's pretty wild, right?
That's incredible. And a little disturbing at the same time.
It is.
Okay, so
it definitely gets people's attention.
Sure.
But it highlights just how much we're still learning about this complex interplay between our bodies and the microbes that live within us.
Right.
Like the gut microbiome is this whole ecosystem that we're just beginning to understand. But it's clear that it can have a significant impact on how we age.
It's amazing how much we're learning about the microbiome in general.
Right.
And all the different ways that impacts our health.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Okay, so we've talked about what aging is and all these different ways that scientists are trying to fight it.
Yeah.
From extreme diets to young blood to poop transplants.
Yeah.
But what about actually reversing the damage that's already been done?
Right.
Like, is that even possible?
That's the holy grail, right?
Yeah.
And there are some promising developments, particularly in a field called senolytics.
Okay, senolytics.
Yeah.
What is that?
It focuses on eliminating senescent cells.
Senescent cells. What are those?
Think of them as zombie cells.
Zombie cells.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these are cells that have stopped dividing but haven't actually died off like they should.
Okay.
They kind of stick around and release these harmful substances that cause inflammation and damage to surrounding tissues.
So they're like the bad apples that spoil the whole bunch.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Definitely.
And as we age, these senescent cells build up
Hmm.
and they contribute to all sorts of age-related problems.
Okay, so where does senolytics come in?
Right. So senolytics are drugs that are specifically designed to target and eliminate those cells.
So it's like a cleanup crew for the body.
Exactly.
Get rid of all the junk.
Yeah.
What kind of results are they seeing with this?
Well, it's still early,
Okay.
but animal studies have been pretty impressive.
Okay.
Senolytics haven't been shown to like dramatically increase lifespan,
Okay.
but they do improve health and vitality in older animals.
So it's more about quality of life than quantity of life.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
Are there any other promising drugs out there?
A couple that have really caught the eye of researchers,
Okay.
both of which were originally developed for other purposes.
Okay.
So the first one is metformin.
Metformin. Now that's a diabetes medication, right?
Yeah, it is.
What does that have to do with anti-aging?
Well, it turns out that metformin has some interesting effects that go beyond blood sugar control.
Okay.
It kind of mimics some of the benefits of calorie restriction
Mm-hmm.
by reducing the amount of sugar the body produces and absorbs.
Oh, interesting. So it's like you get the benefits without having to, starve yourself.
Yeah, kind of.
Is it safe?
That's what they're trying to figure out. Yeah.
But what's intriguing is that studies have shown that diabetics taking metformin actually live longer and healthier lives
Really?
than non-diabetics,
Wow.
which suggests that there might be some anti-aging effects at play.
Okay, that's definitely one to watch.
Yeah.
So what's the other drug?
The second one is rapamycin,
Rapamycin.
which is an immunosuppressant drug
Yep.
that's usually used to prevent organ rejection after transplants.
Mm.
And,
Okay, and how does that relate to anti-aging?
Well, rapamycin enhances the cell's natural cleanup processes,
Okay.
like taking out the cellular trash.
Hmm.
So it helps clear out all the buildup of, damaged proteins and other junk that accumulates in our cells as we age.
So it's like a cellular detox.
Exactly, yeah.
So what are the implications of that? I mean, what does that actually do?
Well, this cellular housekeeping could help improve cell function
Mm-hmm.
and potentially slow down that age-related decline.
Okay.
It's still early, but the research is really promising. This is all so fascinating. And there's one area I want to explore a little bit deeper, and that's cellular reprogramming.
Oh.
We touched on it briefly when we were talking about epigenetics, but I feel like this could be a real game changer.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Cellular reprogramming, especially using those Yamanaka factors we talked about, it has the potential to be revolutionary.
Hmm.
But there are also some,
Yeah.
significant challenges and ethical consideration.
Yeah, let's dive into that. Let's get into
Yeah.
part 2 of
Wow.
this deep dive.
All right. So we've been talking about all these really fascinating ways scientists are approaching this, this challenge of aging. And one of the most intriguing is cellular reprogramming.
Yeah.
Like we touched on earlier, it involves using those Yamanaka factors to basically reset adult cells back to a more youthful state, like a stem cell-like state.
Right, like turning back the clock on ourselves.
Exactly.
It sounds almost too good to be
It
true.
does. It does.
Before we get into the challenges,
Yeah.
can you just paint a picture of what some of the potential applications of this could be? Like if we could really do this, what could it mean?
I mean, imagine being able to regenerate damaged tissues.
Hmm.
Like instead of just managing heart disease, what if we could actually repair the heart after a heart attack?
Yeah.
Or restore vision by healing damaged neurons in the eyes?
That would be incredible. I mean, it would revolutionize how we treat
Yeah.
so many age-related diseases.
Exactly. And it's not just about treating diseases, but potentially preventing them altogether.
Hmm.
If we could keep our organs and tissues functioning like younger versions of themselves, we could significantly delay or even prevent the onset of things like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, heart disease.
Wow. I mean, it's almost like the concept of aging itself becomes obsolete.
Yeah, it's a pretty radical idea.
Yeah, yeah. But you mentioned that there are also challenges and ethical concerns
Yeah, of course.
surrounding cellular reprogramming. What are some of the things that could go wrong? Like, what are the risks here?
Well, one of the biggest risks is the potential for uncontrolled cell growth.
Okay.
Remember, we're essentially turning cells back into a state where they can divide and differentiate into any cell type.
Right.
And if that process isn't carefully controlled, it could lead to tumor formation, which is basically cancer.
Right. Yeah. It's like we're tampering with this
Yeah.
really delicate system.
Exactly. And so that's where a lot of the research is focused right now,
Okay.
on understanding how to precisely control this reprogramming process.
Right. Yeah.
We need like decades more research to ensure that any potential therapies are safe and effective before they can be used in humans.
Right. But it seems like the research is moving forward pretty quickly.
It is.
I mean, some of the sources you sent mentioned that even, tech billionaires like Jeff Bezos and Sam Altman are investing heavily in this field. Like, what's driving that?
I mean, the potential of cellular reprogramming is huge.
Yeah.
And it's caught the attention of a lot of people, including those with the resources to fund these really ambitious research projects. So you've got companies like Altos Labs and Retro Biosciences that are working to actually translate these scientific discoveries into, commercially viable therapies.
So this isn't just a scientific curiosity. There's a real belief that these therapies could actually happen.
Oh, yeah.
In our lifetime.
Absolutely.
Wow. And it's not just limited to reversing aging, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could use this for growing new organs, for transplantation, repairing damaged tissues, potentially even reversing things like paralysis. I mean, the possibilities are pretty mind-blowing.
It's pretty incredible.
But with all this talk about manipulating ourselves, potentially extending our lifespans, I think it's important to kind of zoom out for a minute and think about the bigger picture.
Yeah, for sure.
What are the ethical and societal implications of all this? Like, if we could significantly extend our healthy years, how would that impact society as a whole?
Yeah, that's a crucial question.
Yeah.
Would we need to rethink our entire social structure, our retirement systems, our healthcare systems?
Right, because everything is built around this idea that we live a certain amount of time, right?
Exactly. And what about access to these therapies?
Yeah.
Who gets to benefit from living longer? Could it exacerbate existing inequalities or even create new ones?
Yeah.
So these are all really important questions.
Yeah.
And it highlights the need for, for thoughtful, ethical considerations as this research moves forward.
Yeah.
It's not just about the science, it's about how we use that science.
Right.
And what impact it has on society as a whole.
It's a lot to think about.
It is.
But it's also incredibly exciting. I mean, this possibility of living longer, healthier lives, it's something that's captured the human imagination for centuries.
It has.
And while there are still many challenges to overcome, the research is progressing at an unprecedented pace.
Yeah.
It's a really fascinating time to be alive and to be witnessing these scientific advancements unfold.
Absolutely.
Speaking of fascinating advancements, one of the sources you sent mentioned a relatively new technique that involves reprogramming T cells to fight aging.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, this is a really exciting development that kind of builds on the technology of CAR T cell therapy, which is currently being used to treat certain types of cancer.
Okay, and remind me how that works again.
Sure. So essentially it involves taking T cells, which are a type of white blood cell that's part of our immune system,
Okay.
and genetically modifying them in the lab. So in the case of cancer treatment, these modified T cells are programmed to recognize and destroy cancer cells.
Okay. So how are they using this to target aging?
Right. So researchers have discovered that they can reprogram these T cells
Okay.
to target and eliminate those senescent cells that we talked about earlier.
Right.
Remember, those are
The zombie cells.
the zombie cells,
Yeah.
that accumulate with age and contribute to inflammation and tissue damage.
So it's like using our own immune system to fight aging.
Exactly.
That's really clever.
Yeah, it's a really clever approach. And the initial results in mice have been quite encouraging.
Okay, what kind of results have they seen?
Well, the mice that received this treatment showed improvements in several areas of health. Their metabolism improved, they had better glucose tolerance,
Okay.
and their physical activity levels actually increased.
Oh, wow.
So basically, they aged more healthily and stayed more active even as they got older.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So this could potentially be a way to not only treat existing age-related conditions, but to prevent them from developing in the first place.
Yeah. That's the hope, yeah.
It's still early days.
It is, yeah.
But this research has the potential to be to be truly transformative.
It does.
It's not just about treating the symptoms of aging.
Right.
It's about targeting the underlying processes that drive it.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a complete different way of thinking about healthcare.
Yeah.
It's incredibly empowering.
It is. It is. And it's just one example of, the incredible advancements that are happening in this field.
Yeah.
But, it's important to remember that most of these therapies are still in the experimental phase.
Right, of course.
There's still a lot we don't know about aging.
Yeah.
And how to safely and effectively intervene in that process.
Right. We're not going to have fountain of youth pill anytime soon?
Probably not.
Okay.
But the progress that's made is undeniable.
Yeah.
And the pace of research is only accelerating.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really exciting time to be, following these developments.
I agree. I think we should probably revisit this topic fairly regularly as the research evolves. But I think for now we've given our listener a lot to think about.
We have, and we've only scratched the surface of the many questions that this research raises.
Right. So let's shift gears a bit and dive into some of those bigger picture questions in part 3 of our deep dive.
Okay.
What does it really mean to extend our lifespan? What are the ethical considerations?
Mm-hmm.
How might this impact society as a whole?
Let's do it.
So we've explored, all of this incredible science around slowing down aging, maybe even reversing it.
Yeah.
And it seems like we're really on the verge of some major breakthroughs here. But I think it's time to kind of ask the big question, like what happens if we actually succeed?
Right.
What are the implications of significantly extending the human lifespan?
I mean, that's a question that goes way beyond the lab, right? It goes into philosophy, ethics, economics. I mean, if we could live longer, potentially much longer, how would that reshape our individual lives?
Yeah.
Our relationships, the world around us?
It really is a fascinating thought experiment.
It is.
It's not just about adding years.
Right.
It's about adding life to those years.
Exactly.
And thinking about what that means for society as a whole.
Right.
Right.
So maybe we can start with, thinking about things on an individual level.
Okay.
If we could maintain our health and vitality for decades longer,
Yeah.
would we approach education and careers differently? Would we feel more free to take risks knowing we have more time to recover if things don't work out?
Yeah, I mean, it's like that traditional timeline of life gets completely thrown out the window, right?
Yeah.
I mean, imagine starting a new career at 60, traveling the world at 80, pursuing a lifelong passion at 100.
Right, and what would we dedicate these extended lives to? I mean, that's a pretty profound question.
It is.
And one that I think everyone would have to grapple with in their own way.
Yeah.
But I think beyond the personal implications, there's also these huge societal considerations.
Yeah.
Like how would our social structures adapt to a world where people are living longer and healthier lives?
Yeah, I mean, think about our current systems for healthcare.
Yeah.
Retirement, even just the concept of generational turnover.
Right.
I mean, they're all built around a certain lifespan.
Exactly.
So would those need to be completely reimagined?
They might. And how do we ensure equitable access to these longevity-enhancing technologies?
Yeah.
We wouldn't want to create a world where only the wealthy can afford to live longer.
Right.
These are the kinds of ethical dilemmas that we need to start addressing now before these technologies become widespread.
It makes you think about the impact on the planet, too. I mean, we're already facing all these challenges with resource depletion, climate change.
Right.
I mean, can the Earth even sustain a larger population living for significantly longer?
Yeah, that's a critical point as we explore these possibilities.
Yeah.
It's crucial to consider sustainability and responsible innovation. It's not just about individual longevity.
Right.
It's about ensuring a future where everyone can thrive.
Yeah, it's clear that this is a conversation that's about so much more than just science.
Yeah.
It's about ethics, values, like what kind of future do we want to create?
Absolutely. And I think the key is to, approach this future with both a sense of wonder and responsibility. We need to embrace the possibilities, but also carefully consider the implications, and engage in open and honest conversations about the ethical, societal, environmental impact of all of this.
Yeah, this whole deep dive has really, I think, given me and hopefully our listener a lot to think about.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, we've gone from the mechanics of aging on a cellular level
Yeah.
to imagining a world where longer lifespans are actually a reality.
And we've only just scratched the surface, really.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many questions that remain unanswered,
Mm.
and the path forward is far from clear.
But that's what makes it so fascinating, right?
It is.
I mean, the future of aging is still being written,
Yeah.
and it's up to all of us to decide what that story is going to look like.
Mm.
You know, what kind of world do we want to create? What does it mean to live a good, long life?
Hmm.
These are questions we all need to be asking ourselves.
I think that's a perfect note to end on.
Yeah.
You know, this deep dive, we explored the science, the potential, the challenges of extending human lifespan.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's given our listener a foundation for further exploration.
Absolutely. And as we've learned today, the future of aging is far from predetermined.
Right.
You know, it's a story that's still being written, and who knows, maybe you'll play a part in shaping that story.
Mm-hmm.
Until next time.